Hello and welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Games Week 7, Day 2. I'm joined once again by Mr. Neil Larindabond. Did you catch any of that last game?
I was summoned by the dinosaur speak. That's how I got here.
Were you just annoyed because you didn't know the difference between a Patriarch and a Matriarch?
I mean, you just weren't around at the time, like I was when the dinosaurs were ruling, so I figured that I'd come back and sort it all out.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair.
But I'll leave you to find out on Google later which is the answer.
Thank you. I think we know the answer now. The Diehard Matriarch is Big Brother, right?
No. That's a TV show.
Okay. Next up is going to be Romania versus Peru as we take a look at Group B and remind ourselves how relevant this game is, as neither of these teams have won one yet.
They have not, and you would be tempted to look at that and think that both of them are in deep trouble. You would be right, but neither of them out, because Romania still have to play Thailand, which means that Romania can push Thailand to 2 and 3. If Romania wins this, they can go to 1 and 3, and then they win that, they go to 2 and 3, and they can overtake on points difference if they win big. Peru, all they've got to do is win their remaining 3 games, and they should be fine.
Yeah, well, it's important for Romania to win this one, or if they lose it, then they are pretty much guaranteed out of the competition.
Right.
Obviously, thing that we're going to be talking about a lot, RDU recently qualified for Shanghai, just like Kalento and Nyria did in the last series. He is going to be, I imagine, on a bit of a high because of that. He's going to be feeling very good about Hearthstone right now, and hopefully he's going to have the right attitude to lead Team Romania to victory.
Yeah, RDU is an interesting individual. I like talking about RDU. As we look at the list, so we'll talk about him in just a while. RDU, Moody, Hannibal, Z2, and X-Tracky Style representing Romania. Nandib, Kishtar, Izzy, and Yuki Sasuke representing Peru. And I have to admit, I know very little about some of these guys.
I got away with just letting you say the hard names.
I got halfway through and realised what you had done to me and just continued like the trooper that I am.
Team Romania, though, are led by RDU. Well, we're saying led by RDU. Maybe that's not fair. I don't know the inner workings of the team. Though it's fair to say that RDU is most globally known on Team Romania.
Yeah, definitely one of the bigger names. Although the others, I mean, Tracky Star won PGL Tavern Tales 2016. I think he beat Moody in the final of that. So those two guys are doing pretty well. And Hannibal Z has also had decent results. He won DreamHack, the Romanian one that I can never pronounce. I'm not even going to try to, as I've just embarrassed myself enough. He won that in 2016. RDU's won 2 DreamHacks. These guys seem to like DreamHack settings.
I believe, if my notes are up to date as well, Hannibal Z is the second highest earner in Romania, just behind RDU.
That sounds right, although just behind is probably a slight overstatement.
Only behind RDU.
Oh, I see. Okay,
RDU is the only person that he's behind.
That would make sense.
Yeah, okay. Better use of words there.
Sure, RDU obviously making that qualification, but also talking to him this morning on his stream very briefly, he is well aware of the chance they have here. And he is just not a quitter. I mean, he went to last call last year after a whole season of accumulating 3 figures, like over 100 points, the top points earner like in the region, and then lost in the finals. And most people would have gone, ouch, that hurts, stop this, I'm just going to give up. And he didn't. He just did it all again and finally been rewarded.
He's a fighter, and he's going to be playing first for Romania. Looks like he's committing himself to the Paladin as well.
If anybody in the world can play Zoo at any time, it's RDU.
Is that what you expect then? You think Zoo?
Yes. I'm going to call it now. I don't know. I have no inside information. I'm going to call it that RDU actually brings Zoo out here.
I hope you're right. Versatility is great. We haven't seen a Warlock yet all week, have we?
Yeah, and we haven't seen one all week. We didn't see one in HCT Europe. We're not going to see one in NA. I'm sure that means that will be sorted out in the next set as soon as that comes out, though.
So RDU going to be representing Warlocks everywhere if you've called it correctly.
And the number of times I've called things correctly have been so many. Instead, he decides to play the really good class, brings out the Paladin. Against the Shaman, we've seen this a few times recently, and we feel that Shaman has the edge. Or I feel it does still.
You got my hopes up for the Warlock, Neil.
Got it.
It was all intentional. You're just trying to tilt me. It's like I'm your opponent in Hearthstone.
You are, indeed.
You're trying to tilt me like the Knife Juggler was trying to tilt Kalento.
Yep. It's about the size of it.
Right. But yeah, I agree with you again. We believe the Shaman just has the capability of outvaluing Paladin. Spirit Echoes is such a strong card. Even if it just hits Aya, then that's 2 more Jade Golems out of nowhere. If it hits Aya and a Jinyu Water Speaker, then that's 2 more Jade Golems and a heal.
Right, and Shaman has that early versatility as well with the removal spells, with the portal, sometimes with the lightning storm, sometimes with the jade claws as well. It just has the way to deal with those disgusting starts the Paladin can get. It's one of the very few classes that can deal with the 1, 2, 3 that the Paladin can sometimes do.
Uchichisatsuki sitting there on his own. RDU with his team at his house like usual.
Yep.
Just remember, that does not mean that this is some cruel 3-on-1 format that we're putting Team Peru through. They will be communicating with their teammates, as every team has in every series so far, via headset, via communications, via the internet.
Yeah, via that well-known resource, the internet.
Do you know the internet?
I've met it once or twice, yeah.
How many years ago did the internet appear?
Al Gore, what year was that? I can't remember. Many years ago. I'm going to go with like 1990 when it started being used a lot by actual human beings that didn't live in rooms all day long. Not that I'd know, because I've lived in the same room for like 20 years anyway.
Right, right.
RDU still smarting from the defeat by the USA. He thought they had a better lineup and they thought they had good matchups. And he was having a bit of a whine this morning about, you know, not a big whine, just a little one again, not a Neil-sized whine, about
it's a Romanian salt mine.
How unlucky they had been against USA. So they still feel they can qualify, and they feel that if they qualify, they're going to be a very powerful team. But
RDU already looking unhappy, though. As soon as he saw this opening mulligan, it just looked like he already had a sigh. It's very, very early to be giving up. But obviously, opening mulligan does mean a lot to RDU.
Yeah, that feeling of, oh no, not again, when things haven't been going your way, or you feel they haven't been going your way, whichever one, can just get to you sometimes. But what the point is, it doesn't matter if it upsets you, as long as being upset doesn't change your play.
Right.
Now, for most people, it does. Most people, when they start getting upset, they start playing worse. I don't believe RDU actually plays significantly worse when he's angry, because he's just angry quite often. And so he's used to it playing like that, and
that's my secret, Neil. I'm always angry.
Wow. You wouldn't know it. You seem calm a lot of the time. Keeping Finger, so relying on the deck to do its thing, and the deck does do its thing. He has got a really nice hand now.
Yep.
And the Shaman, it is a very controlling-looking start. But the Shaman's not doing anything until turn 3 down. This could be a really early beat down here from Romania.
Yeah, I mean, this is the way in which the Paladin can win. We said the Shaman can outvalue the Paladin. Yeah, that's certainly true. But with a start like this, the Paladin is just able to steamroll the Shaman, War Leader, buffing up all Murlocs. No Gentle Megasaur in sight yet, but it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, when I was talking about the 1, 2, 3 start, I didn't explain what it was. This is what it is. You just look at this 1, 2, 3 and realise just how ridiculously powerful this is. Again, Shaman can deal with it in some regards, but it normally needs to deal with them immediately, and it is not going to get the chance to do that. Even Lightning Storm would be out of reach right now.
Yeah, it looks like Uchichisatsuki is probably just going to have to hex the Murloc War Leader, which doesn't feel good because later on there are going to be Tyrians and things.
Yeah, and you hex the War Leader and they play a Megasaur and hit you for another 9 or something, and you're just like, oh, ouch. And already just such a great spot here for Romania. Romania taking their time to decide what to do here. The obvious play is to play the Rockball Hunter, but RDU deciding that actually he'd rather protect his board and go for a bigger, like more long-term play than just spamming the board with stuff.
Sure, well, Rockpool Hunter can be played sort of as a surprise attack later, to buff a minion up just to make an efficient trade that Uchichisatsuki is not expecting.
I mean, there should be no issues with your Finger killing a totem or something, but it is an extra buff on your Finger if needed as well. But overall, just the secrets can protect your board, and he's going to save his coin as well.
Yeah, ultimately, a big Murloc that buffs everything is going to come down next turn, and the 2 Murlocs currently on the board are going to get a little boost in attack. Well, a big boost in attack.
Yeah, that play has just stated their aim of we are playing turn 4 Finger.
Right.
We don't think that you can get your defences organised in time to deal with a turn 4 Finger, and then the game will just be over.
Well, it's now a question of, even if Uchichisatsuki does deal with Murloc War Leader, they then have to deal with a Finger.
If they play the Murloc War Leader.
Finger, right, that's true.
They may be saving the War Leader until after the Finger has killed something, and then defend their board that they pull out of their deck with the War Leader, which means they might next turn just play Rockpool Hunter and the Secret.
Ah, that's very interesting. Yeah, that actually seems very, very likely. Depends just how aggressive they want to be. Because so you can argue War Leader's fine, it pushes damage, destroys the minion now, and then Finja is the fallback plan next turn. Or as you said, they could go for the big mid-game blowout by just waiting this turn. Maybe playing Murloc Tidecaller and the Hunter.
Right.
Then quitting out Finja, then playing War Leader.
Yeah, the Stonehill may have changed that plan as well. Getting through this would be a bit awkward, but I feel that they're actually just better off saving the War Leader to buff all the stuff, so it's really hard to get rid of. And also, this board will be annoying. If they just play either the Tidecaller or the Redemption here, as well as the Rockball Hunter, actually that's an annoying enough board that you might draw out a Lightning Storm even at this early stage, and if Finja came down the turn after that, what does the Shaman even do? It won't have much mana, it won't have anything to do, it's got to face a Finja down.
Looks like they're having a good discussion about it, but Rope has appeared. RDU following the footsteps of his former teammate, life coach.
Okay, so they've abandoned the Finja plan. They've actually just going to the, you know what, we're in a good spot, let's go wide right now plan, because this is defending a board immediately, not one that hasn't even been generated yet. And they're saying, deal with this or lose.
The question is, what does deal with this? A Lightning Storm that hits three times. That deals with this. Devolve plus Maelstrom Portal. Maybe that deals with it. But the chances of Peru having that card or rolling the threes on the Lightning Storm are so slim. They just, as we said earlier, just had to hex it. And now Romania are free to just play more Murlocs. But there is now the risk of Lightning Storm doing more damage.
Right, and they did have a choice there, actually, Romania. They could have played the Jinyu and hoped for no Megasaur.
Right.
And then at least they've got something to take on, then hex the turn after. That would have been very risky, but it would have fit their curve a lot better. But yeah, this had to be done, I think. It just defended so much damage, took so much damage off the board.
Hard turn now for Romania.
Right, that hex, to some degree, telegraphs as a very soft read there might be a Lightning Storm.
Exactly. So how do Romania play around that? They may decide to play Rockpool Hunter and buff up the Murloc Tidecaller, because if that was to survive...
And then just hero power.
Exactly, because if that's to survive the Lightning Storm, then that's still pushing so much damage, and then Uchiha still can't deal with it, and then is going to be overloaded. So I definitely like this play a lot. We'll see what Peru come up with. Jade Lightning is not bad, but it's only going to deal with one minion. It's going to deal with the Murloc Tidecaller, and that's it, if they choose to even play it.
I mean, I think they have to. They're just going to die if they don't, in their minds at least. You know, we can see that actually Romania, they're not all in at all, but they've run out of immediate gas. Obviously, there's a reload available with the Finja, and now they need to work out. Look, they know there's no Lightning Storm now, because Peru would almost certainly have gone for it.
Yep.
Romania have to decide, do we even need to keep the second wave, or do we just throw everything onto the table now, because the only thing that clears this up is a good, not only a Lightning Storm, but either one with spell damage or with good rolls.
Would Uchiha have played Volcano last turn if he had it? I'm wondering if that's something that RDU may need to consider before he plays the Finja.
That's definitely an option he has to think about.
Because if he plays Finja now, I believe Volcano pretty much exactly clears everything.
3, 4, 6, 7, 10, 14. It would depend what Finja pulled. It wouldn't, because he would die before it pulled. Exactly. So they will keep the Finja back almost certainly. But
I guess on the flip side, maybe Peru would have played Volcano last
I think
time.
they probably would. I think when I'm talking about Lightning Storm, Volcano's a better shout, but it would be the same net effect. And they're even keeping the 1-1 alive, so they are sure there's no way of mass clearing this. And Devolve.
Okay, so Volcano would have been a disaster because RDU would have been almost out of resources entirely. Devolve is bad, but
see what it leaves them. Not a lot, I don't think.
Some Wisps. Nazarth's first mate. Not the other one. Tentacle of Nazarth.
Nazarth blowing up Tentacle Hand. If they can kill that, they can clear most of this board.
They can't kill it though.
But they can't.
For now. Oh. We may actually see a tentacle riding a dinosaur.
That sounds pretty terrifying to me. I think they may have to do it, though.
Alternatively, playing Spike Ridge Steed on the Frog or one of the Wisps plays around a second Devolve. If the second Devolve was to be picked up and used, it wouldn't touch the Spike Ridge Steed if it's a 0-mana minion.
Just to bear in mind as well, even though it's obvious that every game is important, these guys... Romania needs to win this, not just win it, but they could do with winning it by a good score. They are pretty desperate for every bit of tiebreaker they can get. Peru, on the other hand, do just need to win it.
All right, so RDU playing on the Wisp as expected. It was most likely he did it on the... Well, he was going to do it on the Tentacle if he wanted to save his minions, or the Wisp or the Frog if he wanted to prevent a devolve shenanigans from ever happening.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a spot now because Peru have been allowed to start to get into this. They're going to be able to heal again later when they want to, and all of their cards suddenly are doing just about enough to keep them in it. This is an awkward turn. This is the last turn where they're going to have any difficulties, and then it just becomes Jade Shamans and Alakirs and draw a bunch of cards and set up some taunts and heal up. Not necessarily in that order, but it all becomes a bit more obvious after this turn is sorted.
Yeah, well, see, you just listed a lot of plays there that Peru can make, and I'm looking at what can Romania do to counter that from their hand, and there really is very little, as Peru just picks up more and more value. We're getting to that point where we've said we believe the Shaman is favored. If they can stabilize and outvalue the Paladin, it looks like it might be happening, and RDU does not want to take the first loss of this series.
No, most certainly does not. Even losing one game here could be disastrous for them in the long run. Of course, there will be a Tyrion in their deck. There's probably a Curator hiding in there as well, maybe with multiple beasts as well as Primordial Drakes. But at the moment, his hand is pretty slow. That's a massive help, though. Going to be able to True Silver, which means they can force through at least 3 damage, probably 6, but they might choose to take out the Mana Tide. It is a decision they have to make, because they know Peru has a handful of stuff that has been sat there, and sometimes it's just best to say, you know what, we know you've got this stuff, we can't deal with the stuff, you can have as much stuff as you want, because we need to kill you in 3 turns, we're never outvaluing you.
That makes a lot of sense to me. True Silver Champion just representing a lot of pressure. I think you're right. I think it needs to be pushed forwards to the face. There's so many cards Peru have been holding on to. As we go into turn 8, they're bound to have something good already to play. I like what you're thinking. Getting rid of that Mana Tide Totem just wouldn't achieve much.
One of the problems that Romania have got now, it's not a big problem, but it is a problem later, is what do we do with this redemption? Since that devolve has turned all of our Murlocs into mush, what actually are we going to do with this redemption? And as we see, they're going to actually just tidy up this board. Not wasting much damage here because they're getting 4 damage out of that consecration, which allows them to push an extra 3 to face.
Okay, and they've still got the True Silver Champion for an extra 8 to face over the next couple of turns. Maelstrom Portal picked up from Uchiha Sasuke. Right, how can he fit that into this turn? Obviously, getting a spell damage totem and then playing Maelstrom Portal would be very, very strong, but you can't guarantee that, and that will only leave him 4 mana to play the rest of what he's got. So that's 4 mana for a Jinyu Water Speaker, 4 mana for a Thing from Below. Maybe that play works out.
Yeah, they won't expect Romania to have a whole bunch of stuff. They might be scared of Tyrion, but they will be scared of Tyrion, but Tyrion's in the we can't do anything about it anyway category. Yeah. So you can almost forget that, and I think they're just going to go for the Maelstrom Portal Thing from Below or Maelstrom Portal Water Speaker. Yeah. They feel they're not going to die to any sort of crazy stuff from a Megasaur. Then they'll play the Water Speak, and that's how they feel. There's only 2 Murlocs on the table.
Yep,
There's only going to be 1 now.
I like this play a lot, I agree with it. No spell damage totem, unfortunately for Peru, but still good enough. Mistress of Mixtures also a fantastic thing from the Maelstrom Portal there. Just 4 extra health. Second Spike Steed, though. RDU's hand is sort of refueling.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that Paladin is the best deck on ladder, and yeah, I know it's not quoted as the best deck at some places, but it's the best deck on ladder, is because it just doesn't go away. The combination of the hero power niggling away at you, the combination of all your mid-range stuff, then when you run out of stuff, you've still got Tyrion, you've still got Curator, it just keeps coming at you, and that is why this deck is so popular.
So how much damage can Romania push this turn? We've got 5 on the board, 6 if he plays the hero power, 10 with the True Silver Champion, putting Peru down to 8, and Peru didn't have any healing in hand. They've got the healing on the board, though, and looks like RDU's going to go for some board control here.
Yeah, they're not going to win this game if they don't have something on the board. We thought a couple of turns ago they could go for that option, but since then they've got in a situation where there's been so much healing from Peru that actually going face just was never going to get there, and so they've got to somehow make the most of this hand.
Sad that RDU ends his turn with Peru on a higher health total than they had before, though.
Right.
As that's kind of going against their game plan. Something like Alakir would almost shut Romania down now. I guess
Sort of.
playing two taunts works too if they want to go with the Crazed Worshipper and Thing from Below.
Romania have a potential 15 damage next turn and Peru on 19, so obviously Alakir would wipe out some of that, but it's not quite that trivial, obviously with the Spike Ridge Steed on this Wisp. And Peru are not out of the woods yet. And there's a lot of woods in Peru. There's the rainforest. It's like 60% of the actual area of Peru.
That is some nice geographical knowledge then.
I know a lot of geography. I told you that week one.
As RDU picks up, your Atlas does, as RDU picks up
Sure.
more value in the form of this Stonehill Defender, going to get no Tyrion, unfortunately.
Yeah, Wicked Flame's good in the control variants. It's okay here, but they'd have rather had Tyrion or Tarim here.
Sadly, it's just a 3-mana 2/2 with Divine Shield.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another minion on the board, and they're well aware there's no Volcano, there's no clear in the hand from Peru because it would have been cast long ago.
Can RDU push this damage to the face? No, he's going to put the True Silver, or the Wisp rather, into the Jade Spirit. And the True Silver into the Junior Water Speaker, okay. Making the trade the right way around so that he can conserve his health total, though it doesn't seem to matter as he's still on 29. It's still right to sequence the attacks correctly. Second Maelstrom Portal from Peru there. Not going to do all that much this turn.
It's not. I'm just looking at RDU's body language. I think he thinks that we can win this if they don't pick up any removal. But
hang on a second. So Alakir into Outdoor Peacekeeper, then into the Stonehill Defender, then Maelstrom Portal. We clear everything except the 2 Staggadons.
That's what they're going to do then.
Doesn't matter which order you play it, I guess it's correct to play the Maelstrom first. But now the clean trades there. With the 5/3 popping the Divine Shield, not what you want if you're RDU.
No, but the 2 Stegodons are still kind of annoying. I guess it's just going to be a 1/3 and a 2/6 after they kill this.
This game seems to be drawing to a close. RDU needs to pick up some high-value card right now. Murloc War Leader can be a pretty high-value card if it sticks because of this hero power.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get 2 or 3 little hammer dudes down on the board, then at some point the War Leader is representing a lot of burst damage.
There's a taunt on the board that could protect the Murloc as well, and there's a taunt in the hand which could further protect the Murloc, and there's a redemption. So actually, this War Leader does have the potential to do some work.
But RDU, as always, accurate with his assessment, realising that this game, as you called it a minute ago, is drawing to a conclusion. No time to keep creating boards, is just going to go all in. He thought for quite a while there because putting up a Divine Shield against a 1/1 is always just a bit awkward.
If it gets redeemed, though, by redemption, then suddenly that feels very, very good.
Yeah, it's quite incredible that there's been no mass removal apart from a couple of portals.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, so there should still be lightning storms and or volcanoes.
But there should also be Megasaurs and Tyrions. So this game is not over by a long way, and there is a Megasaur into a 2 Murloc board.
Did you see Team Romania perk up then?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they played for. I think that's why they were giggling. It's like, let's play to our outs. RDU, when you watch him, is always talking, as most pros, but him more than most. Let's play to our outs. We've got 1% here. Let's find that 1%. And he has. He's found Megasaur into poison, and he's going to force a whole bunch of damage to the face. He's got to work out how to protect this War Leader.
Yeah, if trading it into the Jade Spirit is the correct way to protect it, then sure, this makes a lot of sense. He's still got 2 taunts up which are going to protect it. Those Jade Chieftains are kind of annoying, but these Murlocs are poisonous.
So what do you hex? You can hex one of these guys, probably the War Leader, but the other dude still has the poisonous, and you can't deal with both of them.
Yeah, and then the other dude still has 5 attack, which is a lot of attack when you've only got 15 health left.
Yeah, remember this is a redemption on the board as well. So unless they hex and then kill the Hex Frog, which seems like you just take an extra 2 damage, this might not end well for Peru even now.
How has this happened? What an incredible comeback from RDU, playing to his outs, as you said, putting the War Leader on the board, setting up a huge board, and then so heavily rewarded by this gentle Megasaur.
No, RDU is just one of the best aggressive players in the world. He assesses situations. He has changed course 2 or 3 times during this particular game.
Yeah.
Starting off, it looked for all the world like he was considering coining out a turn 4 Finger. He then got into a position where actually he wanted to just go get everything into the face. Then it looked like, oh, we're out of resources, we can't go all face, we have to build a board. And then it got to the point where, okay, that's not going to work, we've got to go all in and draw a Megasaur. And he's changed course 3 or 4 times. That's not being wishy-washy, that's knowing that the game state is changing with you.
Right, absolutely. You need to change tack sometimes. It's the correct way to play Hearthstone. Sometimes you are the beatdown deck, sometimes you're the control deck, and sometimes you have to switch between them on the fly. RDU making clear that he knows how to do that. And Hex being held onto by Uchiha Sasuke. Risky, but I think I like it.
Yeah, I think they had to set this up. This is the only way they're going to get through this. There is 10 points of face available if they want it in Romania. But there are plenty of other options, and they're going to have to keep this 3-1 War Leader alive, I think. But maybe not. Maybe if they go 10 to face, they don't have to worry about it.
So yeah, they used the adult Peacekeeper on the 5-5. I wasn't expecting this trade. I have to say, I wasn't expecting this trade. RDU completely trying to take control of the board.
Right, this is lethal next turn if there's no taunt and no AoE. They know there's no AoE at the moment.
Okay, well, looks like it's Hex and Jade Chieftain, but is that actually enough? It is. So the War Leader has to die first because of the poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Gentle Megasaur can die first. Yeah, it's a 5-5 Jade Golem, so Gentle Megasaur can go in. The War Leader can be hexed. Okay, it's not quite lethal guaranteed from
I think they have 10 left. The War Leader's dead. The Megasaur's going to have to trade.
Yeah.
And that leaves 2 3s and 2 2s, which is 10. Oh, no, this actually leaves a 1, and 2 2s and a 3. My bad. Which means they need to pick up some more. Here we go.
Oh,
it's Megasaur number 2. There's only one Murloc to buff. If they can turn it into a poisoned Murloc, it is lethal.
I think attack is poisonous too, isn't it?
I'm trying to work out if attack is lethal as well.
No, it's 1 off.
Okay, I'll take your word for that.
Yeah, it's 1 extra 3 attacks. So 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Not quite 12.
Do they get the poisonous that they need? They do, and Romania find a way to get through a whole bunch of taunts, a whole bunch of portals.
Look at the high fives all around.
And they are 1-0 ahead in this do or die match. Not only do they need to win it, they need to win it well. So going 1-0 up, absolutely massive.
Exact lethal, the beginnings of the 3-0 that RDU and Team Romania need in order to get through to phase 2 of the Hearthstone Global Games. Solid start from the boys. Very exciting for them.
Yeah, and they will now be, as you see, completely perked up. This has been made possible thanks to Thailand, because Romania, play Thailand in their 5th and final match next time out. They can beat Thailand down to 2 and 3. If the UK had beaten Thailand, Romania could still have qualified, but it wouldn't be in their own hands anymore. As it is, they still have a chance to influence the proceedings.
Next up, it's going to be Kishtar on the Mage versus Moody on the Druid. Now, I don't know much about either of these players, I'm going to be honest, but I do know, and I brought this up in the past, Moody said in an interview once that he believes that Romanians, when it comes to esports, are talented but lack team play.
Okay. I mean, I can't comment too much on the Romanian esports scene. I must admit this is still a learning experience for us as it is for everybody else. But I do know that the RDU is very into trying to help the team. That's why people come to his house. That's why he gets as many people there as possible. And Moody's been around a while. He was top 8 at DreamHack Bucharest in 2014.
Wow, he has been around for a while then.
Some time in the Hearthstone scene.
Well, that is some time ago. Moody, the only Romanian player actually playing on his own, not gathered together with his teammates. Guess he lives a little bit further away from RDU, as we see Kishtar also in his...
Maybe he lives next door to RDU and just doesn't want to go around there again.
Maybe he just lacks team play.
So, more likely that he lives a long way away and just can't get there, though, to be absolutely fair. I know full well that Romania think they can win this, so there's no way that he's not going there unless he possibly can't get there.
Kishtar in his very well-presented bedroom there. He is actually a streamer. I believe he is the streamer of Team Peru. I've got a few of the others may stream as well, I'm not sure, but I know for a fact that he does. I've been and scouted him in the
Been
past.
watching his streams?
Yeah, I've seen.
Dabbled?
I've had dabbled, yeah. Smattering of streams. That's terrible. I really like the word smattering, and I've heard you and Raven use it so many times. I just wanted
I
to...
don't think I've ever heard Raven use it. I used it today, and I was quite happy with it. Damn.
I was happy with it. Well,
Don't make Raven
got to give you the credit.
complimented. Sorry,
So, so it's going to be the aggro druid versus the something mage. Could this be a freeze mage?
looks like it could well be a freeze mage, and it's sometimes the pick. You know, it's not out of the meta by any means. We were talking earlier about Zyrez, freeze mage being a deck that he used about a third of his games getting to #1 legend. So definitely a playable deck, and this could well be freeze mage. We don't see Blizzard in many other decks.
No, I guess it can be in Discover Mage. I would say it can be in Quest Mage, but obviously there's no quest here, so it's pretty clear this is not a Quest Mage. On the other side of things, Moody with 2 Enchanted Ravens. So no crabs here. He's decided to want to get a pretty good start, because he didn't decide to get a pretty good start, but having 2 1-mana 2/2s in hand.
And then innovated to Finger.
Yep.
Loot Hoarder, yet another pointer that it's almost certainly freeze mage here from Peru.
Doomsayer as well.
So a chance to show off your skills, because freeze mage is not a deck to be handled lightly. You don't bring freeze mage unless you are very comfortable with it, as basically Discover Mage is the light version. It's the easy version of freeze mage.
Oh, really? Okay.
Obviously, it has slightly different matchups as well, but in general, it's a slightly more forgiving version of freeze mage, and freeze mage is the very hardcore stuff.
I mean, George C. has illustrated to us a few times now the perfect way of how to play freeze mage perfectly. That guy has completely mastered the deck. And we're going to have to see now if Kishtar is... What are you staring at me
I'm just smiling, thinking, oh dear, George C's now got to be nice to Dan.
I made up for my mistake earlier. I'm going to apologize again.
If in doubt, be really nice to somebody.
We're going to see if Kishtar is able to pilot it as well as George. Bit of a better matchup for him. He's got the Doomsayer nice and early. If that goes off... Looks like he's playing in... Oh no, he's going to go with the Loot Hoarder now. If Doomsayer goes off early, it can just completely stifle everything the Druid's got. But in a good position. But this Bloodsail Corsair pickup is quite good.
See if they can get 7 attack onto this board, or at least represent it, so that the Doomsayer... I mean, the Doomsayer would still do a good job. It would absorb 7 damage. It has to die.
Right.
But looking how this can work out, and they're only putting 6 onto the board after this trade.
So it's going to block Romania's Finger turn, at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, it might just die at the moment.
And,
they can't deal with a Doomsayer.
So obviously a Mark of the Lotus pickup, not Mark of the Wild, a Power of the Wild. Maybe even a Savage Roar would be worth playing here to get rid of that Doomsayer.
Yeah, from where Peru are sat, they're expecting this Doomsayer to die, and they're making the decision to play it for 7 health most of the time. All of the buffs that go in this Druid deck would just get rid of it.
Not that, though.
This is a bonus.
Firefly is very fiery, but it's not actually going to be doing anything to that Doomsayer. Looks like Romania are just going to have to push that damage to the face, hero power, and pass on turn 3.
Yeah, the only thing really that Peru are lacking is an Arcanologist to just dig out a secret so the Medivh's Valet can continue to control the board for them after the Doomsayer goes off. But they're going to have the opportunity to maybe play Arcane Intellect, but possibly even play Acolyte of Pain. Acolyte of Pain, you want to always draw 2 cards for. You tend to hold it for turn 5. But in this situation, you know it can't be dealt with. Yeah, just put it onto the table, and there you go. This Acolyte of Pain is going to do a lot of work.
Savage Roar coming 1 draw. Too late to get rid of that Doomsayer. Now, Romania are able to innovate out Finja and play Firefly, but the Firefly is just feeding the Acolyte of Pain at that point. That said, it would allow Finja to get rid of it.
Right, it's not much fun here for Romania, this choice. Like you say, the Firefly would put it in Finja range, but on the other side of that, first of all, it's just horrible. They might, Peru might even be able to kill their own Acolyte and just leave you with a Finja that, yeah, great, hit you for 2.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't. It would just stay stealth and hit you for none.
Yeah, it would. Until it died to a Blizzard or a Flame Strike or something.
So Romania are already going to be working out what are their outs. Well, their outs are a living mana that doesn't die. That's not much of an out.
It's not too much of an out. I guess the Bitter Tide Hydra
Okay.
can do some work too. We're less likely to see it in a deck that runs Finger. I guess you could see it as a one-of. These lists are... they vary quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, especially the non-Murloc list. The list with the Murlocs, like you say, you might see a bit of Tide, you might not, but they're a little bit less versatile because you've got 5 slots occupied by sort of stationary objects. And then by the time you've stacked it full of Savage Roars and Mark of the Lotuses, there's not many options left.
Now, Kishtar going to have to decide what he wants to do about this Finger. If anything, he can't ping his own Acolyte and then finish it off. There's no way of doing it yet. There's no secret to proc the Medivh's Valet, and even if there was, then the Finger would just probably kill that instead.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, actually. Just Romania spotting something that we'd vaguely overlooked here, that this Finger play has stopped the Acolyte ping from occurring in some ways.
Right.
And looking for some sort of freeze effect here, most likely. That didn't happen. Then they could have pinged their Acolyte, maybe.
You know, Ice Barrier is not so bad, though. Gaining an additional 8 health against a deck that's all about killing you quickly, then having the Ice Block, and then the Alexstrasza ready to heal you up again. It's going to take a lot for Moody to actually get past the finish line here.
Yeah, it's going to be really awkward. Oh, my goodness. Look at this for a play. Not only can you not Finger my guy down very easily, now you've got to do it twice. We're going to let you spend your 2 mana killing one of the Acolytes of Pain rather than using our own to ping it. You've got to hit it anyway, so have the 2 cards. Thank you very much.
Right. Bluegill Warrior Savage Roar would mean that you can get rid of an Acolyte by only hitting it once. But it's also a bit of a waste of Savage Roar. Bluegill Warrior, Hero Power, and trade in the Finger is the other option. Okay, he's going to use the
Moody decided that 2 cards is plenty, thank you very much. We don't want to give you a whole handful of cards. This is pretty much their only chance. Double War Leader.
Well, that means this has to go face, right? There's no way you can waste that 8 damage. Double War Leader is great, though. It makes this board very difficult for Peru to deal with. He can play a Secret and a Medivh's Valet, but that only gets rid of, I guess, the Bluegill Warrior, and that's it. Or a War Leader.
Insane turn of events. You've got to get rid of... Well, you don't have to get rid of Finger. There's only 1 Bluegill left, but you'd rather get rid of... You've got to get rid of the War Leaders. You want to get rid of Finger. You've got no freeze effect. Maybe you have to glyph and try and freeze things just to buy a bit of time.
Yeah, removing a War Leader removes 11 damage from the board. So that's got to be the top priority target, I think.
Yeah, they're going to glyph and they're going to try and find a freeze effect. And Peru are not happy with his Kishtar. You can see a minute ago looked like he was in prime position, but getting double War Leader, which was only a 1 in something chance. 3.
Right. So taking his time before he plays this Primordial Glyph, trying to see if there's any other viable options. Doesn't look like there is. There's a Meteor there, though, with Vaporize and Ice Block as the other 2 options. Ice Block buys him a turn. Meteor can't be played just yet, but will clear the board later. He's going to go with the Ice Block.
All right, Ice Block's going to allow him to at least get rid of something.
It's got to be the War Leader, yeah.
And because they didn't have easy decisions to make, that means the Acolyte didn't get his attack in first. Just a bit of ordering there, but sometimes you just got to do what you have to do.
Again, I want to say another great comeback from Team Romania. I'd counted them out as soon as they couldn't get rid of the Doomsayer. In my head, I was thinking, well, looks like the Freeze Mage takes it, but it's actually getting very close. This Ice Block is being popped way too early for Peru to then come back and play the Alexstrasza. Yeah, they've got a second Ice Block, but then what?
Yeah, they'll probably have a second barrier, and there's usually 2 swipes, but that's the only stuff.
Bluegill left. Allowing him to pop the block at 1 while clearing the board. Very nice play there.
Yeah. And yeah, Peru, Kishtar shaking his head, and nowhere near an Alexstrasza save here, nowhere near any sort of save.
Okay, well, freeze my board, freeze my face, or you lose. Or put up an Ice Block, I guess.
Yeah, no swipe in hand, and there's usually 2 in the deck, I believe, but it's not 100% certain they'll have swipe.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of lists without. I've seen a lot of lists with just 1. It's very hard to say.
So the comeback is still possible. If they can stall out until the Alexstrasza turn and somewhere along the line pick up a Blizzard,
Right.
and then Alexstrasza their own fate.
Or if you could, like, Frost Nova Ice Barrier, for example.
Yeah, and they somehow need to deal with a living mana along the way as well. I mean, I'm not saying this is likely, but I'm saying it's definitely not, like, 100% over just yet.
Oh, he got the Frost Nova, so he can just Ice Block this turn and Ice Barrier, Frost Nova next turn. He's bought himself some time.
Bought himself a little bit of time.
Markovia Siraj is not going to be able to draw Moody any cards because he doesn't have any beasts on the board.
Yeah, it doesn't need the +2, of course, so we'll see them proc the block and likely do nothing.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I wonder what Moody's thinking about here.
Just making sure that whoever's in his ear is getting the same feedback that he's getting, and maybe talking about a future turn, for instance.
Maybe he's wondering if it's worth buffing up the War Leader to play around a Flame Strike.
Yeah, that's definitely an option.
But
also
then,
making sure you use your hero power to get as much armor as possible to buy some time if things do go wrong. Yeah, good call. He's going to do this.
Well, I mean, Flame Strike wouldn't have mattered anyway because hero power would have just won the game, but maybe there's a Flame Strike possibility a little later or something. I'm not too sure, but I think the Mark of your Siraj makes sense anyway.
Second Frost Nova here.
That's a lot of time.
They're starting to get some time together.
Kishtar just hoping that Moody doesn't have a swipe in hand now. Doesn't have a choice. He has to just hope for that. This is the only way that Kishtar survives another turn.
Trying to show us something there, either on his phone or on a piece of paper. Unfortunately, there was just a load of glare. Thanks, Kishtar, though. Thanks for whatever that was.
Thanks for playing. Try again later.
Now Moody, with no swipe in hand, I feel that he should probably plot the block, but...
Barrier.
Sorry, the barrier. They should probably just put the 8 on, but...
If he runs a swipe, he may not want to.
Exactly. If they run 2 swipes, they definitely may not want to, but they will. Look at this board.
Now I'm imagining that they don't run a swipe. Because if this board gets frozen again and he then picks up swipe, then that was a throw.
Yeah, they didn't need to attack there if they didn't want to. They're going to proc it next turn anyway. However, next turn, Power the Wild would make the Murloc into 6, plus the face would be 7. Would there be any reason why? No, just wouldn't be any reason at all. So.
Yeah, Power of the World again, that sort of plays around Flame Strike. And this turn playing around Flame Strike is relevant because now a Flame Strike that cleared the board would actually, again, stop Romania for another turn. So this turn it's actually relevant to play around the Flame Strike, if it's even in the deck. Frost Nova is going to be very bad news for Moody, though.
Right.
Another Ice Barrier.
Okay. Okay, so Kishtar now is going to need to try and get as much... He still has no... Even though he has ways of surviving, the actual ways of winning the game are still few and far between.
I wonder...
I want to just say quickly how strong Ice Barrier is as a card. It's both 3 mana heal for 8 when it works, but it's also armor, which means it helps Alexstrasza.
Yeah.
With the second Ice Barrier, then Peru go up to 16 health, and Alexstrasza will put him back up to 30.
Yeah, and talking of armor, we've got to keep an eye on what Romania have been doing as well. Every single turn they've been sure to get that 1 point of armor, and against the old Freeze Mage, that was annoying. Against Freeze Mage that doesn't have evolved kobolds and stuff, it's absolutely crucial sometimes.
Yep. Now he's going to have to decide whether he's willing to sacrifice this armor to trade away the Loot Hoarder. He's going to lose the armor anyway at some point, unfortunately now, because there are actually minions on the board that Moody cannot deal with.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep our eyes all the time on the potential 2-turn lethal from Peru. And Romania just making sure there's no reason not to fill up the board. Filling up your 7th slot against Freeze Mage. You know, you've got to make sure, just check your deck list, check your brain, make sure there's nothing you've got with a battle cry that you're going to need later on. In this deck, almost certainly there isn't.
Blood Mage, Thalnos, plus a Frostbolt. All right, well, Kishtar is getting closer to his win condition. You were saying a moment ago there's no way for him to win just yet. He's picking up the pieces, although he doesn't have a way to stop this board anymore.
He does not. But let's see what he can do. He can kill off the War Leader at some point. That's a start in life.
I wonder if it's Fireball, the War Leader, Frostbolt, the Fledgling, and then put up Ice Block. to play around Savage Roar.
The only thing with that, and that might be all they have, is it becomes increasingly difficult to win the game if you use up too much of your burn. You don't have Ice Lance anymore.
Right.
But it may just be that he has to do it.
Ultimately, though, he can just outlast the Druid, probably. And Alex Straza...
Right, Alex Straza might actually get damage.
Alex Straza could stick.
Yeah.
Antonidas could stick a little bit later. If Kishtar does a good job of controlling the board. I think he has to get rid of this War Leader, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the only way he wins this game is if the board gets cleared, so that's what he's going with, even though it's pretty terrifying. If he doesn't clear the board, then he will definitely never win, and that's what he's going with.
Is he safe even if there's a Savage Roar? 17 damage. So yeah, he is safe even if there's a... Oh no, he's not. He's not safe if there's a Savage Roar.
2, 4, 5, 6, 17. I agree with you. He is dead to Savage Roar, but they've seen one already.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've got to take their chances while they're there.
Power of the World, not quite as crippling for Kishtar as Savage Roar would have been, but it's
pretty harsh though.
Going to push a lot of damage. No more Murlocs left in the deck for Finja to pull out, unfortunately.
And don't forget, sitting there all this time is this living mana that's also going to buy time. So the only way that Peru could win this, really, they're not just going to get rid of these boards after boards. They've got to find a way to get the ice block down, play Alex Straza, and then combo kill, and that just looks a million miles away right now.
Again, just such an impressive performance from Romania here. Just being able to outlast the Freeze Mage. Doing a great job with it, too. You know what Kishtar does this turn? Ice block buys him another turn. Blizzard's probably the way to go. In fact, with Thanos, that's not too bad at all.
Yeah, it clears up basically everything, because you start pinging things at that point.
Oh, but one minion, I think, the Thanos Blizzard ping.
Yeah, and then you ping the other one the next turn, so it does clear the board. The downside being living mana just comes to play, but do you have an option? Not sure you do.
There's no secrets left in the deck. We've seen both barriers, we've seen both blocks, so the Archaeologist isn't going to pull Kishtar anything.
And he will almost certainly know this is living mana. I mean, what other card would not have been played by now?
Right.
Maybe it's a second Innovate. That's the only other
That's
option.
true. If it was Savage Roar, then it would have won the game already. So
right.
There's no reason to suspect that it's that.
What to do?
So this makes it difficult because they have a pretty good read on this hand. But what else can you do? At least you can draw a card with this Thanos next turn and hope to get your other Blizzard if you've got two. Maybe a Flame Strike.
All right, rather than pinging, he's just putting something on the board, putting
Makes
a body on the board.
Oh, there's a Bitter Tide. You called this earlier on as another thing. Oh my goodness. Not only they've got to deal with a living mana, but they've got to deal with a Bitter Tide. And
does Moody ever play both? I don't think so.
No, you don't play both. I think you just play the Bitter Tide because you've just seen that Peru can possibly, in some world or other, deal with a living mana with the play they went with. Maybe that's the out they're playing to. So yeah, just plop an 8/8 out there and say deal with that.
Sure, I'm just thinking if there's a Frostbolt left, then that's essentially another method that Peru may now have of stalling. Doomsayer. Okay, so Ice Block, Doomsayer, Medusa's Valet, I think. Well, he has to play the Ice Block, so let's start there. If he plays Alex, then he's almost dead.
Unless he Alexes himself.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out. Put him up to 20, actually. Maybe that is the play now.
It just looks so bad, but it's the only way they've got of killing off a Bitter Tide. And they've only got to hit this Bitter Tide 11 times, they win the game.
Yeah, good point, good point. I don't think that's going to happen.
That's fairly unlikely.
The problem is then they've got to deal with the living mana, though if there's another Blizzard in the deck...
So Alex Straza yourself, kill off one of the 3 ones, whichever you feel, probably the Finja, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then next turn you can go Ice Block, Thieves Valet, trade into the Hydra,
you
play
kill
the
the
Doomsayer.
beast.
The Doomsayer will then stop the living mana being played for a turn.
You kill the Beast because Mark of your Siraj, but otherwise, yeah, that seems good.
No, they're going to go with this play because they feel that that just doesn't work. This is a way where they can generate a turn where they can Alex Straza.
Yeah.
So
this is the first play that I brought up before I noticed the self-kill Alex Straza was okay. It's fine because it may bait out the attack from the Bitter Tide Hydra. Or maybe Romania favours popping the block and doesn't care about the Bitter Tide dying because he's then just going to restock the board with living mana.
I think you have to kill the Doomsayer. I think you want to make sure you keep that going.
I agree.
So the way this pans out, you get Alex Straza next turn. You would like to have the Bitter Tide there to deal with the Alex Straza. If he goes face, if Moody goes face here, he can lose this game because Alex Straza would be pretty difficult to deal with. So they actually have to kill the Doomsayer, and Peru have manufactured a way here where in some worlds they can win this game.
Yeah, it's possible for either side. I just can't believe how this game has gone. I expect this to be a one-sided matchup, you know, one that's decided relatively early into the game. You see, if the mage slows down the druid enough, the mage wins. Otherwise, the druid wins. But I think this indicates, yeah, okay, Moody's popping the block. He's just going to pop the block as low as possible, let the Doomsayer do its thing. Next turn, restock with living mana. But this does give Kishtar his Alexstrasza turn.
So Alexstrasza, somebody, and then draw Blizzard.
He has Alexstrasza itself, right?
Probably. But if you Alexstrasza the opponent, you kill them in 2 turns.
Oh, it's hard.
So they know better than we do how many Blizzards and Flame Strikes are left in this deck. Presuming there'll be 1 Blizzard, no Flame Strikes is my guess.
Yes, I agree. There should be a glyph left. I think we've only seen 1. We saw an ice block come from a glyph. I think that's all. Oh,
I've got a feeling there were 2 in the hand, but I can't remember what.
There was another. There was another. I remember he was offered Ice Barrier and didn't take it from the other.
But having an 8/8 on the board will kill them in 2 turns. But I'm sure they know about this living mana.
It was Molten Reflection.
Right.
The other glyph.
Cool.
On the Acolyte back on turn 4.
When we thought they'd won. So if you Alexstrasza him, they know this is living mana or innovate, and they probably know it's living mana by now because innovate could have been used at some point for armor or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they've got to, if they go to the opponent's face, they've got to find a way of connecting twice. If they go to their own face, it buys them an extra turn to find that Blizzard to deal with his living mana.
Yeah.
And if they do get it, then they're just going to hit for 8 a zillion times anyway. So a zillion's a lot.
That's approximately.
That's 8 lots of a zillion. Probably gets through this armor.
So Hero Power Living Mana just seems like the play to me. I don't think there's any reason to play the Firefly, is there? Living Mana puts him down to 3 mana crystals, 4 next turn. There's nothing he can't do with 4 mana at this stage, I think.
Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 plus 2 is 17. Lethal not represented at this point. Archmage Antonidas.
Oh, man. Oh, man. So now, an offensive Alexstrasza.
So the Frostbolt would do 2 to the face, the Alexstrasza would do 8. That's 10. We can do those numbers. We're good at those.
Yep.
That leaves 21. There would be a Fireball in hand, and you would have 13 on the table. You would have 20, but also some of these things have got to die. You've got to kill the Antonidas.
We've only seen 1 Savage Draw so far.
Have only seen 1 Savage Draw.
There's the Innovate. Marco Viscerage isn't able to draw Romania any cards. He wasn't able to get a card draw off of the earlier one. That was played on a Murloc Warleader.
Okay, so how does this end? Because basically Romania can kill both of these minions. They've got to do 13. They've got 10 on the table. The mark is 12. Their hero power is 13. There's an odd and an even number. It works out. They can kill them both.
Yep.
They will be down to Innovate and Firefly. The Freeze Mage will be down to a Fireball, possibly a Frostbolt.
Maybe a Blizzard.
Maybe a Blizzard. Is there a chance? I don't think there is, but can the Druid fatigue the Freeze Mage?
What world are we living in right now, Lorinda? What world are we living in? Looks like he's going for... Oh, wait.
No, they're just going to try and kill them.
Yeah. It's 26 damage that Kishtar's got this turn anyway.
Is it only 26? Okay.
Yeah. 2 fireballs plus a ping, that's 13, plus 5 is 18, plus 8.
That's a shame.
26. Second fireball doesn't mean...
draw in the deck.
Doesn't mean anything. Usually fireball's a pretty good draw, actually.
So RDU and Moody and the rest of the team found a 2-turn lethal that couldn't be dealt with.
Well, let's see. So, a fireball goes into the 4/4. A fireball goes into a 2/2. The minions go into 2/2s. That leaves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage.
Yeah, that's why they made this play and didn't go with the nonsense I was talking about, which actually I think would have worked. But
complete nonsense, Lorinda.
They've worked out that, I mean, this play would lose to the second Blizzard. But maybe RDU's then going with his redraws. Maybe there's 2 swipes in there, which would also be redraws on 5.
Moody, not RDU.
I keep saying RDU,
Romania.
I'm sorry, Romania. It is a team game, and I'm absolutely sure that this team isn't just a one-trick pony. These guys are very good. Make that absolutely clear.
Although Moody may seem like he's playing on his own, he's definitely talking to his teammates all the way through this game, as is Kishtar. Well, Kishtar,
yeah, it is checkmate. They put up the lethal there. There was no way of killing off the minions and getting the two-turn lethal set up. Romania find a way again in a tricky spot, and they're 2-0 up. And if they can take this 3-0, that sets it all up for an incredible finale for them.
They're over halfway there. This could be the beginning of one of the biggest comebacks in the Hearthstone Global Games. If Romania can win this series 3-0 and win their next series 3-0,
yep,
they have a good shot at getting through to stage 2 of the competition.
Yeah, if they win this 3-0 and then they win their next one, I think 3-1, but possibly 3-0. Sorry for not getting that exactly right. There's a lot of groups to look at today. That would definitely put Thailand out and behind Romania.
Right.
They can definitely reverse that situation. I think 3-1 might be enough for that. But they need to win this 3-0 first. If they win this 3-1, I think they might need a 3-0. They need to stuff 2 teams. That's what they need to do.
Well, Tracky Style is going to have to win this Warrior Mirror against Izzy if we're going to get there with the 3-0 from Romania. They really, really want this. Peru on the other side. What's going on with Peru, Neil?
I don't think they're doing too badly from what I can see. I thought they played that freeze mage game really well. They kept giving themselves situations where they could actually win the game if things went right. But Moody there finding that 2-turn lethal setup, which just said you need Blizzard now or we win. I do feel if Blizzard had come there, though, that they would have lost.
It's one of those games that we don't see many like that at all. You see an aggro druid, you kind of expect the game to be over within 5 or 6 turns.
Right, exactly.
They just run out of steam by maybe turn 7 or 8 realistically. They just run out of steam. But that aggro druid just managed to keep its board alive. It kept getting frozen, but Moody kept hopeful, kept the board alive, just kept buffing bits that he needed to, pushing as much damage to the face as possible, and got through, despite the fact a turn 2 Doomsayer removed 5 damage from the board.
And 3 minions as well.
Exactly.
The cards was pretty bad news, the card advantage. The Bittertide Hydra getting that job done, though, making just enough pressure, just that 8 to face, that they couldn't remove all of those 2/2s. And with no Blizzard, with no Flame Strike, with all the glyphs being used up, it did force through the lethal.
Yeah, just incredibly well piloted by both players, actually. Kishtar playing to his outs as much as possible. Would the aggressive Alex Straza have made a difference, do you think?
I think they'd have just died a turn earlier. I'm not certain on that, but I think so. I think they were trying to buy as much time as possible.
I think you're right. I was trying to calculate it at the time, but I don't see a way in which, aside from drawing that extra Blizzard, I don't see a way in which they would have come back.
They played it as if it was living mana. They went 100% on their read. This is living mana that Romania have, and it was. So that's the sign that a team is playing well. They didn't. I don't think they guessed. I think they knew that was living mana from the way the game had been played. And so Peru, they're definitely showing signs they know what they're doing. It's just how the game goes sometimes. Got a Warrior Mirror coming up next. And we've just seen Face Druid, Murloc Paladin. We saw RDU qualify at the weekend with a very aggressive lineup.
Very aggressive.
Is this just guaranteed to be Pirates?
Pirate Warrior was part of his lineup, wasn't it?
I believe so.
It was. I believe it was Pirate Warrior, the aggressive Shaman, the Murloc Paladin, and mid-range Hunter.
Sounds about right.
Or,
actually, I don't think it was even mid-range Hunter, but yeah, just
right,
Tolvia nonsense.
Hunter deck, yeah. Tolvia nonsense, sure. So I would expect, if he's going off the back of that and believing that's the best lineup right now, it makes sense to see Pirate Warrior. From Peru, do you expect Pirate Warrior as well?
No, we've just seen Freeze Mage and a controlling Shaman, so I'm expecting, just based on that, with that amazing, huge amount of information, I expect them to play a quest.
Shocking, you got both right.
Yep. Everybody evacuate. That's probably the first time ever something bad must be about to occur.
We may as well wrap up the Hearthstone Global Games now.
This finally did it.
This is incredible. Good call indeed. Now this is going to be... It's a hard matchup for the Quest Warrior until they stabilize.
Right.
And if they can stabilize, then they're fine. Awkward thing is, they kind of have to keep the quest in case it's Quest Warrior.
Right. And there you go, that's what they did, because otherwise you just throw away the win. It would have been a brave man indeed that threw the quest away, but it was definitely a thing they could have considered. And
smiles all around from Team Romania as they realise the hilarity of this situation, picking up patches.
yes, don't think it's very funny from where they're sat right now, though. They might be 2-0 up, but I want to keep emphasising winning 3-0 is important to them today.
As that is how tiebreakers work in the Hearthstone Global Games. Their game score matters. Every single individual game matters. South Sea Captain going to do some work here as Peru don't have a way of dealing with it right now.
They don't, and if they can't deal with the captain right now, then next turn patches and the deckhand are going to be hard to deal with as well, even if they are played one at a time.
Yeah, right. Tar Creeper, I guess, is the best that Izzy's got, though Tracky Style has the tools that he needs to deal with it. Frothing Berserker, not quite going to fit into this turn, is it?
No, but it might fit nicely into next turn. If there's a War Axe played this turn, along with just the deckhand or the patches,
yep.
Presumably the patches, because it works out nicely with the captain, adds up to 5, which is the number we're looking for.
I guess he could play the deckhand now, trade in the DOS first mate, so that he doesn't have the situationalness of the deckhand charge later.
Uh-huh.
That's now a word. Situationalness.
You're learning well, young man. You're learning well. And then next turn we've got Frothing Berserker into patches, and the patches, the Frothing Berserker will just get rather big.
Blood Cell Cultist. Wow, this hand is steamrolling this game as Blood Cell Cultist is going to buff that Fiery War Axe. Patches going to finish the job and deal with the Blood Cell. Not the Blood Cell. Deal with the Bloodhoof. Bloodhoof Brave.
Bloodhoof Brave, and look at the wideness of this board and the size of the minions. Lethal is threatened, and it is turn 4. And so far, Peru haven't managed to damage a minion of their own choice.
Yeah.
That Execute's been there the whole game.
Izzy not looking so happy at the moment as...
Is he not?
Just see the work of the South Sea Captain here. It's just, maybe its buff isn't quite as big as Murloc Wooly does, but imagine if it was. Imagine if it gave Pirates +2/1.
I don't want to imagine that world. That's a terrifying world.
Yeah.
I don't sleep very well now.
I apologise for
All right, Ali Armorsmith, the only realistic choice here.
Arcanite Reaper coming off the top at the perfect time. Maybe Romania still want to play the Frothing Berserker, but I don't know. Arcanite Reaper just looks so strong now.
So if you played Frothing Berserker, you could put your weapon and your 3/2 into the Ali Armorsmith. You could go face for 6 and then have all that stuff with the Reaper in hand, or you could just play the Reaper now.
It's mana inefficient to play the Frothing and Hero Power. At the same time, you're playing the Reaper and not doing anything with it. So contrary to what I said a moment ago, maybe the Frothing is just better. What are you trading in? Deckhand plus War Axe, yeah.
So resources in terms of mana, you're playing 1 card. So in a way, if you waste mana now, all that's happening is you're making future turns harder for your mana to work.
Right.
You're not actually wasting mana this turn, but your turn 9 mana would be worse because you can't play your Reaper and your Mortal Strike. Or your turn 7 in the real world because you couldn't play your Frothing Berserker and your Mortal Strike. So actually, the mana wastage looks bad, but it's not too bad.
Yeah.
And so you just play the card that is most suited to this turn, which is the Berserker.
Yep. Seems better. Next turn he can play Arcanite Reaper and swing. Izzy, wow, spamming the wow emote. As I agree with him, this has been an astonishing game so far from the Pirate Warrior. Izzy doesn't quite know what's hit him.
I tell you what hit him, it would have been Arcanite Reaper drawing 2 cards.
Yeah, that's...
I don't think it would have helped much, but yeah.
Well, it would have shut down the Arcanite Reaper, which may have bought Peru some time. So heavily rewarded for not playing.
So Harrison in hand, no weapon to go for. Execute in hand, and they haven't damaged a minion because they've never started a turn with a minion on their side of the board. And despite having what looks like a handful of answers, actually the questions were just too difficult so far.
Dirty Rat comes out, and thankfully for Izzy, doesn't pull anything. But now Arcanite Reaper isn't perfect. Guess he could Reaper down the Stonehill Defender, trade Frothing into Dirty Rat, and then push 7 to the face? Is there a way he can do more? There must be a way.
Trying to work out how massive you can make this frothing berserker. There's always more damage than there looks in these situations.
You can put it up to 10. If you trade both other minions into Dirty Rat, put the Arcanite Reaper into the 1/4, then it gets 10 attack. Still 3 off lethal.
Yeah, this is the same thing as you just said, except they're willing to take the damage on their face, not their minions.
Yeah.
They're doing it this way.
Makes sense to me. It's now got 10 attack, as described. Your turn, Izzy.
All right, and playing this as well, which means that even Brawl now would be pretty awkward as well.
Can you draw Whirlwind and Sleep with the Fishes and a Taunt right now?
Only if you cheat.
Yeah, I don't think cheating is allowed in the Hearthstone
I think
Global
cheating
game.
is like a definition of against the rules.
And actually impossible with Hearthstone. You can't quite fit all the cards like you could a real-life
Quest
card game.
complete, but unfortunately it looks like the quest they've completed is losing 3-0. Romania, Mortal Strike the face. Not only do they win, they get the 3-0 win, and winning 3-0 means that they are right back in contention, despite being 1-3 in this event. And fantastic for them and fantastic for this group in terms of making it exciting. Not, however, fantastic if you're a Peru fan. They are 0-3. Not only are they 0-3, but a 3-0 beating means they're going to have real trouble sorting out their points difference.
They're in a very similar position to the position that Team Romania were in going into this game. Romania have seen the lights. They're going to play one more series in stage 1 of the competition, and if they can win that 3-0, maybe, just maybe, they have a chance.
Yeah, I think it becomes like a 50-50, honestly. Peru are not quite in the same position as Romania because they've still got to play America, or the USA, sorry. Yeah, at least Romania have got that one out of the way. This is why Romania have got a slightly better chance than it looks, because they've got to play Thailand, who are one of the other teams vying for that 3rd place. Peru have got to play the United States of America, who have been absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, USA seem to be the kings of that group. It makes me a little bit sad to admit that. But I believe that we are going to have a chat with RDU. So, hey RDU, can you hear me?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on taking your first win in the Hearthstone Global Games. How does it feel to now actually be in with a shot to get through to the next stage?
I don't know, it feels good finally to win after preparing so much. Like, me and the guys here like prepared a ton for our games, and we felt like we were slightly unlucky against the UK and against Netherlands and against USA. Like, we thought we were favored to win all of those 3. And now it finally feels good to win one. And yeah, we can actually make it. Like, UK is going to lose to Netherlands. I believe in my brother Thijs.
Oh, okay, hold on a moment.
Yeah, I believe my brother Thijs is going to beat them, and then it's going to be...
Did you top load your decks today? Did you put the best decks at the top to try and get this 3-0?
Yeah. We just went. We're going to play the best decks. And then we had like Rogue and Hunter. So like we just wanted to play the best decks. We didn't want to go for like Zoo and try to counter pick and try to get the good matchups, because like you play 2 Golaka Hunter and then you like lose to USA playing Pirate Warrior. So you're like, yeah, why would I do this again? Let's just play Pirate Warrior ourselves. We play against unfavored matchups, doesn't matter. We just played correctly, applied the pressure, played to our outs and win.
We've seen 3 of you guys playing together now, I think every single time you've played. Do you think that makes a big difference to your team play? Do you enjoy playing together? Do you think it makes your gameplay better?
I mean, we have better coordination because we're all here in the same room. Like the only miscoordination that we had was with the other member of the team who didn't come to our city because he lives very, very far away, like 10 hours away, like you can barely call it Romania. That's how far away he lives.
Well, we got some rule breaking going on here. Someone playing from a different country.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Go and enjoy your win. Thanks for your time, RDU.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Go and enjoy your evening. Wow. So great to have a conversation with RDU after the win.
Yeah, I could happily talk to RDU on here all day.
Not much salt coming from him tonight.
No, not at all. Although he still managed to mention how disappointed he was about the UK and the USA games and the Galactic Crawlers. So that's something that I know has been playing on his mind. So getting this 3-0 will cheer him up.
right? Well, as we take a look at this stomp from Team Romania, this was actually a close game. In fact, 2 out of the 3 games were incredibly close, as RDU looked like he was running out of steam early, but made the comeback with 2 incredible Gentle Megasaurs, both of which granted poison.
Yeah, this was a really well-played game because they just kept changing direction based on what they thought was happening. And although it seemed maybe it lost its way a little bit at some point, it just worked out really nicely for them. And yeah, you can see there the celebrations, because playing to your outs and one of your outs turning up is one of the best feelings in the game.
Yep, game number 2. This was very, very early, actually, the Savage Raw turn, as Moody begins what turned out to be a long grind, slowly but surely chipping away the mage's health.
And you wouldn't believe at this point that this game went something like 11 turns.
Longer, I think.
Right, even longer. Like, it's just absolutely insane. It looked like this was just turn 5 stomp. And Kishtar, to his credit, found not just ways to survive, but ways to survive that actually gave him a chance of winning.
Yeah, he played it perfectly, like the Ice Block turn into the Ice Barrier Frost Nova turn to then gain the health. Yeah, he'd have lost to a swipe at that point, but you can't play around everything. And I believe that unless we missed something, he bought himself as many turns as physically possible.
Yeah, and if there's another Blizzard in the deck, I may be wrong, like you say, some of his Freeze Mage casts can get a bit wonky, but I think if there'd been a Blizzard right at the end here, he might have been in a position to win the game.
And there's a rope before the defensive Alexstrasza. Game still not over at this point, as next turn the Living Mana came out, but then the Antonidas came. It was an intense game. I was on the edge of my seat all the way through.
Yeah, you're always on the edge of your seat.
I am. It's because I'm short.
It was, I've done that one to both of you today. It was
because we're both short.
A good read on that Living Mana all the way through, and they played around it as if it was 100% that card, and they were rewarded for that.
Let's take one last look at Group B and see where the standings are at, as Romania take their first win with a 6-9 game record.
Yeah, as you can see there, if they beat Thailand by 3 games to 1, then they will only be like -1 game, and Thailand will be -2 games. So they will definitely overtake Thailand. The bit that matters then will be United Kingdom versus the Netherlands.
As referenced by RDU in our interview with him, he believes his brother Tice, his exact words, will destroy. I don't think he said destroy.
And that's assuming that United Kingdom win their other game. No, it's not actually assuming that at all.
Right.
Sorry. That's assuming...
I think.
No, it is. That's assuming United Kingdom win their other game. If they lose them both, then. Tough.
I think that game is next week. I could be wrong there, but very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to watching that one. Yeah, Group B looking... I overuse the word interesting, but it really is at the point where these standings are changing around so often. Yeah, often there's a team at the top of the group and a team at the bottom, but...
That's kind of how groups work.
Yeah?
They like have 6 different positions, and one of them's at the top and one's at the bottom.
Right, we have one more game coming up today. It's going to be Turkey versus Mexico. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with that one.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.